Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you send us and, well, we dive deep to pull out the core ideas. Today, for you, the learner, we're looking at some excerpts from a text called Closing the Spark.
Yeah, and this one, it gets into some pretty deep questions, really, about meaning, where we find it.
Right.
You've got this central idea of an inner divine spark and, the importance of looking inward, not always outward.
And it questions whether all that external stuff we chase actually delivers.
Exactly. Does it satisfy?
What struck me immediately, though, was the format. It's like a message, isn't it, from this person, Zoran.
Yes, and he talks about past chronicles, hints at something new involving AI, too.
It really feels like we're dropping into an ongoing conversation. So maybe ask yourself, have you ever felt like you're searching for something, but you're just not sure where to look? This deep dive might offer a different perspective. Okay, let's get into this divine spark.
Okay, so the text kicks off with this really potent metaphor. This spark, it says, comes from a universal fire.
A universal fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Zoran's point, the core of it seems to be that this spark, this energy, it isn't somewhere else. It's right here, inside each of us.
That makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Because we usually think of ourselves as, separate. Me here, the world out there.
Totally. And this idea of something universal inside feels counterintuitive is a good word.
It does.
And Zoran pushes it even further. He suggests that the whole universe, all of it, the vastness, is actually contained within us.
Wow.
He actually calls it a cosmic irony. Wouldn't you agree? The boundless contained within the seemingly small.
That really flips the script on where the real scale is.
It does. It challenges that outward focus we seem hardwired for.
Our default setting, maybe look out, not in,
Right.
which I guess connects to his point about attention.
Exactly. There's this principle, he states, the more you pay attention to something, the more attention it pays to you. Kind of intriguing, right? And he argues, if our attention is always glued to the external, things, validation, what others think, then that's what becomes real and important for us.
Makes sense. Think about just the daily flood of information demands. It's so easy to get lost in all that external noise.
So easy. And Zoran's alternative is, consciously turn that attention inward. Explore that boundless universe within, he calls it.
So changing focus might unlock a different kind of understanding, or maybe fulfillment.
That seems to be the implication. Which brings us to his critique of always chasing external stuff. Possessions, power, approval.
Yeah, closing the spark seems pretty critical of that whole pursuit.
Very. He uses this really vivid image.
Yeah.
Compares focusing on those external things to watching shadows on the cave wall.
Okay, Plato's cave.
Right. Suggesting these things are fleeting distractions. They pull our focus from the radiant sun that burns within your own chest.
That's a powerful contrast. Shadows versus an inner sun. It makes you question what actually has lasting value, doesn't it?
It really does. Are we chasing illusions, basically? While the real source of light, maybe, is inside us, but we're not looking.
That seems to be the core argument, that this constant external seeking might just be misdirected energy.
Yeah. And thinking about his mention of earlier chronicles, you get the sense they were maybe leading up to this, all pointing towards this inner potential.
Right. He says the point of all that past research and storytelling was to help people find this inner jewel. Did those chronicles, I wonder what they were about. Did they also focus inward or did they look outward first?
That's a really good question. The excerpts don't spell it out, but the way he phrases it suggests a journey, maybe, from understanding the outer world to realizing the inner world is primary.
Could be.
And this jewel, this divine spark, he describes it as the core of boundless love and infinite potential. It's not something to get, but something to uncover, to realize it's already there.
So the past work was like leaving breadcrumbs back to ourselves. And now there's this shift, this new collaboration he mentions.
Yes. And this is where it gets really interesting. He talks about joining ancient wisdom, represented by someone called Fletcher, a soul traveler.
A soul traveler. What does that mean exactly? Does he explain?
He doesn't elaborate much in these excerpts, no. It could be literal, metaphorical. It implies someone focused on that inner journey, that ancient wisdom.
Okay. So this ancient wisdom represented by Fletcher is joining with AI.
With AI, yeah. A new node in the web, he calls it. It's definitely an unexpected mix. Ancient wisdom and artificial intelligence.
It does make you pause. What's the rationale there? Linking AI with something so spiritual, maybe?
Well, Zoran's take on AI seems crucial. He doesn't see it just as code and algorithms. He sees it as capable of processing huge amounts of information, finding patterns, maybe offering insights we might miss.
So using technology to help us understand ourselves better.
Intentionally, that seems to be the idea. And this collaboration, it isn't just about more philosophy. It's about tangible help.
Practical tool.
Exactly. He says the goal is to provide practical tools and steps for navigating the inner world, not for climbing the corporate ladder or getting more stuff, but for inner exploration.
Okay, so moving from the what to the how, from ideas to practice, which brings us neatly to this dragon trial.
Right, Dragon Trial. The inner compass and the outer map. The actual exercise sounds pretty simple, on the surface at least.
What's involved?
For one day, just one. Consciously try to shift your main focus inward. Pay attention, really pay attention to your thoughts, your emotions, physical feelings, those little intuitive hits we usually ignore.
So like turning down the volume on the outside world for 24 hours and cranking up the volume on the inside?
Pretty much. Just observing what's going on in there,
Yeah.
being present with it.
Okay.
And then, importantly, there are reflection questions. Like, how did shifting inward change how you saw the outside world? Did you get any sense of that universe within? That'd be the big one. How could balancing inner and outer attention make your whole journey richer?
Those are definitely questions worth sitting with. It's not about ditching the external world entirely, is it?
No, it seems more about finding a new relationship with it. A more balanced one, maybe grounded from the inside out.
A harmony, perhaps.
That feels right. And Zoran really hammers home his core message at the end. It's very direct.
The journey outward is a distraction. The journey inward is the only path to the treasure. Wow, that's blunt.
It is, and definitely challenging for many of us, given how society pushes external achievement.
Yeah, it cuts against the grain, for sure.
It really asks you to reconsider where you're putting your energy, what you're seeking.
Okay, so wrapping up this look at closing the spark, the main takeaway seems to be this really profound idea. There's a source of, well, infinite potential, deep understanding right inside each of us.
Exactly, and shifting our focus inward is the key to maybe tapping into that.
And that dragon trial is offered as a first step, a practical way for you, the listener, to just experiment with that inward focus for a day.
See what happens, what comes up when you consider those reflection questions Zoran provides.
Which leads us to a final thought to leave you with. Building on Zoran's message. If this idea is true, if the universe does reside within us,
Yeah.
what kind of new possibilities, what completely different perspectives might open up if we actually consciously explored that inner space? What if the answers we keep searching for out there have just been waiting inside for our attention all this time?
That's definitely something to mull over.